My Name is Lucy Barton is based on a novel by Elizabeth Strout. And it's about a woman who has to stay in the hospital for 9 weeks. And during that period of time, her estranged mother shows up. And it goes from there. And it's sort of she thinks about her life and the terrible process of growing up, and it's about class and family and becoming who you're supposed to be.
I just heard Lucy's voice in my head. I heard this very fine, particular voice that was speaking. And so I started with the voice, and then I realized if I have her in the hospital and her mother comes to visit and the mother stays in the hospital room, they're sort of stuck together. And that was very interesting for me to think of how they could work out or not work out their particular problems.
So it was a kind of weird thing where I'd actually said to my agent, I don't want to do any more stage adaptations because I'd done a few. And I'd also just read My Name is Lucy Barton. And then literally the next day, I got an email from Nick Heitner, who's the artistic director of the Bridge Theatre that premiered it. And he was like, I've got this book, would you adapt it for the stage? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that one I will adapt for the stage. So
doing a one-person show is a extreme experience. It's unlike anything I've ever done before, and completely terrifying and sort of magical, and it's, at the same time, it's a different type of work that I've never done. I'm still learning about it, so I'm so grateful that I get to keep doing it over and over again, because you're sort of stunned a lot of the time. You go out there and you talk for a very long time all alone, and then you come, it's over and you think, what just happened? So I'm glad that I've been given the time to sort of keep working at it and get a little more comfortable with it, and it reveals itself to me more and more the more I do it. So I don't feel like I'm finished with it yet. So I'm glad that I'm here to do it.
It was almost sort of set up by the time they reached out to me, and I was thrilled to hear that they had made a one-woman show and that Laura Linney would be starring in it. And then Rona and I worked a little bit together, but she mostly did that adaptation herself and did a wonderful job of bringing up the pieces of the text that were needed. And so I just kind of hung around the edges, but it was just really, really wonderful and thrilling.
I think what Liz does, which is extraordinary, is she makes you care passionately, deeply about ordinary people's lives and all the epic things that when you read Liz's writing, you go, oh, of course, everyone has epic lives. Nobody has an ordinary life, but that all becomes invisible normally when we're walking around, and then you read it and she just makes you see this intense drama and makes you care as much as the people that are living it, so that you want to know what happens to them as much as they want to know what happens to themselves. And I think that's absolutely unique in my experience in a novelist. And I think I just love it. Absolutely love it. She's one of my favorite writers before I met her. So.
I never thought of it that way. I never thought of it as my Broadway debut, but it is. Oh, that's thrilling. Thank you so much for reminding me of that.
Well, the material is so beautiful. I mean, it's a original contemporary play with language that is so gorgeous, and I think it's hard for me to tell because it's all my perspective of it is very different from someone who is going to see it or has seen it. So I can only say that for me, hopefully people will find it as compelling as I do in the doing of it. I mean, I'm still fascinated by the play itself, and I love being able to revisit it over and over again and be able to say this language and go on this sort of wonderful, gentle, deep journey that this woman does.